guys, it's Marc Zicree, Mr. Sci-Fi, and I just learned of the passing of Arlene Martel, who was a member of the industry roundtable I run, but more importantly, she was also Spock's fiancée to Pring in the classic Star Trek episode Amok Time, and played opposite Robert Culp in Demon with a Glass Hand in Outer Limits, and was also in 2 episodes of The Twilight Zone, both written by Rod Serling. One was What You Need, and the other was 22, in which she had the classic line, Room for One More Honey. She, of course, since Twilight Zone and Outer Limits and Star Trek were the formative shows of my childhood, the ones that made me want to be a writer, I was very aware of Arlene Martel. She was stunningly beautiful, amazingly just unforgettable in terms of what she looked like and her presence. And, of course, the writers she got to work with on those 3 shows, Theodore Sturgeon in Star Trek, Harlan Ellison in Demon with a Glass Hand, and Rod Serling on The Twilight Zone, was remarkable for any actor to have accomplished that. So obviously she was a big part of my formative years. But beyond that, I met her in recent years at a science fiction convention, and she was very charming and very warm and very friendly. And Theodore Sturgeon, who wrote Amok Time, had been one of my mentors when I was a teenager, a very dear friend, and an amazing, amazing writer, not just for Star Trek, but also for many novels and short stories that were just phenomenal. And when I told her that Ted had been my friend and mentor, she pulled out of her purse a photo strip from a photo booth, black and white strip photos, 4 photos of her and Ted Sturgeon clowning around in a photo booth from around the time that he wrote Amok Time and she starred in it. And it was just so wonderful to see this. It was so playful, and so you could just tell they were having a great, great time, this amazingly beautiful woman and this brilliant, brilliant writer. And I was so honored that she showed me that, and I invited her to my round table, and she started coming regularly, and I was very gratified to get to know her as a person. She was really quite a wonderful person. She was older, and she looked different than when in her youth, but still very striking, and really brought a force of personality and charm. And I told her when I met her that Ted Sturgeon had told me about writing that episode, and one thing he told me was that they showed him the rough cut, because he'd also written a Star Trek episode, Shore Leave, the previous season, but Amok Time was the great episode that he wrote. And he said they showed him a rough cut, and they'd cut out the one line he had written the entire script for. And he said, I never pulled rank as a writer, but this one time I did. I said, I wrote this, and you have to put that line back in. And the line, which anyone who's seen the episode will remember, and I'll paraphrase it, it's basically Spock, fights for his fiancée, ends up fighting Kirk supposedly to the death, and then it turns out that his fiancée, Arlene Martel to Pring, had another suitor who she wanted to end up with, so she basically set up the whole thing. And he says, Spock says to the suitor who's won to Pring, you may well find that having is not nearly as delicious an experience as wanting. It's along those lines. And Ted got that line put back in so that the episode would have meaning. And it was so great to get to know Arlene, and it's sad to lose her, to have her gone from our midst. But on the other hand, her work, of course, lives on, and that's not a cliche, and that's not an empty statement, because the lovely part about being part of film and television and books is that the best of us and who we were and what we meant and what we believed gets to live on far beyond us, gets to be shared with the entire world. Somewhere right now there are people watching those episodes of Outer Limits and Star Trek and Twilight Zone and coming to them fresh or revisiting them and being moved by this stunning beauty, saying these incredible words by these amazing writers. And so Arlene knew that she had created something worth creating, as I know in my career, and to be able to share this journey with these amazing actors and writers and directors and producers. I just came from a production meeting on Space Command, and we're ramping up and we're building sets, and I'd hope to get to work with Arlene in Space Command, and sadly that won't happen. But I'll remember her as long as I'm around, and our work will be remembered by the people who are on this planet now and the people who will be on this planet in decades and centuries to come. So that's it for now, and I just want to share this. And if you want to see more of Arlene, just check out Outer Limits, Twilight Zone, Star Trek. She also has books. You can go to arlenemartel.com, and you can, of course, go to Google and the internet. but I'm glad I got to know her, not just from her work, but in person as well. So that's it for now. Obviously, you can comment about Arlene Martel here on the Mr. Sci-Fi channel. You can spread the word. You can subscribe. But I just wanted to share this with you for now. So thanks, and we'll see you again next time. And up in heaven, I'm sure the first words that Arlene is hearing is her catchphrase, "Room for one more, honey." That's it for now. Bye-bye.